Welcome to the Rebuild Procurement Podcast, the number one procurement podcast in the world, where we dive deep into topics to keep procurement people up to date and ahead of their peers. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you're streaming this right now. Just go click subscribe. I'm sure there's a button around. On today's episode, Alan, we're talking good to great. And we're not talking books. We're talking actionable things people could do within their career. I'm Tom Finn, bringing 15 years on the client side, procurement, finance, and category management experience in large and small cap orgs.
And I'm Alan Veek, a procurement geek on the sell side of our street, and I've assembled a team of superhuman procurement professionals who are doing managed services at a little company that we call Summit.
All right, Alan. So today we're going through, we're essentially going to talk to folks out there, could be in a role, could be looking for a role, but essentially what it means to just not be good in your organization,
Yes.
not to be good within your role. Because really what folks are looking for, especially with all the conversation around AI, and can we just pay a little bit of a software to do this instead of people, right? Those are the conversations that are happening at top levels of companies. But within those conversations, you never want to be labeled as someone that could just be outsourced to a computer. You want to be on the great side. And if you're sitting on the great side, they're going to lean on those folks. They're going to lean on you in order to help them continue their business and to be great as they're probably assuming they're going to be, right?
That's right. Yep. Yeah. One of my favorite guys to read is a guy by the name of Cal Newport, and he wrote a book called "So Great They Can't Forget You." So the notion is we're trying to get people from where you are today. You think you're good. You think you're a good procurement professional, but are you a great procurement professional? Because if you're great, they won't forget you. If you're great, as Peter Thiel says, the person who you worked with in your last job will hire you into the next job that you're going to take, and so forth and so forth. Your resume should be a link of chains of people you've worked with who've pulled you into their next business because you're so great they can't forget you. They can't work without you.
Yeah, that's a great one. And I mean, I think a lot of people will just say, if you ask somebody to go through their career, if they've kind of moved up in organizations, it's been that. It's been kind of the guy, oh yeah, I had someone that I was working with and they had something that opened up and they gave me a call and then I moved over, or a former director or former, C-suite person thought highly of me and then they pulled me in and, now they're in a different spot.
Yep, that's right. If you look at the first 10 people we hired at Summit Procurement, they were all people in my network, and the people who we hire into the highest positions of our business are all people that I know. I'm not going to let somebody in who I haven't worked with before, who I haven't seen their work product. It's those people who you have deep relationships with, deep trust. So a part of our goal on today's episode is to really talk about how you get to be great in the minds of others, how you get to be great in the industry, because I think that's going to be how people won't forget you. Tom, last week we talked about how there's generally a bit of a softness in the procurement industry right now. That's what my gut instinct is. I'd probably take 5 or 6 calls a week from people who are out looking for work, looking for their next spot in the procurement industry. And it seems like a lot of those people have been in the market for quite some time. So I think there's some softness. And this is a way that you can help to bulletproof your career, bulletproof your resume, your LinkedIn profile, so that the softness doesn't affect you. Obviously, everybody wants to have a career that is moving up and to the right. So you're taking on additional responsibility, new higher level roles. You're getting more compensation. You're getting more responsibility. And the way that you do that is you make yourself great. You make yourself indispensable.
Exactly. Yeah, so you and I were, I think we're messaging offline a bit here. You had a few main bullet points that I think we can riff on here.
Yeah, well, it's a gong that I repeatedly bang, and so I'm going to bang it again. The first
time to get a headache right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The first gong that I'm going to bang is the networking gong. So we've hit this one a few times before, but if you are not networked, you might be the best procurement professional in the world, but nobody's going to know it. So networking is really all about expanding the number of people that know you, the number of people that know about you, the number of people that know you exist. So one of the saddest things that happens when I take these 5 or 6 calls a week from people who are out job searching is when I meet somebody who connects with me for the first time on LinkedIn, and then I look at their LinkedIn profile and I see they've got 7 contacts in the procurement industry. And I just want to cry for these people. I'm like, okay, how did you get to be a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old, a procurement professional in the industry for 20 or 30 years and not meet anyone, not know anyone, not connect with anyone? Because that's just a sad thing. You really do start off with kind of with a strike against you, and not a strike in the sense that you've done something wrong, but you just haven't done something good. You've got to be connected with people, because when you need your network, you can't build it. It has to be there. And it's the old saying that we love: when's the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday, 20 years ago. But failing that, if you don't have the tree, plant it this morning. Plant it right now. As soon as you hit pause on this podcast and go out to LinkedIn and connect with somebody, connect with the people that you know. Make sure you got that network pre-built.
Yeah, and LinkedIn's really the place to be when it comes to like having network or like solidifying it. If you meet somebody, if you kind of know somebody decently, just add them. Most people, if you're within the same company, they're just going to accept you, right? It's only when like it's
Yep.
an outside, especially like vendors and things. That's a lot of my my waiting box that I'm just never going to touch.
Yep.
Is folks that I don't know. But if it's like you're connected via these 3 people, they're going to accept. So that's a starting point. But you do want to be known, to your point, Alan. I've always been good. I've told you this before. I think I can probably reach out to anybody that I've worked at any company, and they're going to remember me because I was good in the
Yes.
office, right? Pre-remote work, like I was around. I would go visit, like for manufacturing sites. I would go visit them. I would talk to people that were my main stakeholders. They understood where I was coming from, right? We had like good conversations. And it's not always, going out to get beers. It's just like understand that you're a decent person, right? Like is a lot
Yeah.
of what
Yeah.
a network is based on. So so I was always good at being known within a company, but I was never good at going to conferences, reaching outside my network. It was always like if I could be in close proximity, I was pretty good. But if once I got beyond that, like I can enter a room, have a conversation, meet people, but I think that's something I've always thought you've seemed good at, right? The air quotes building a network. Um, I think some of it, and I'm sure people will relate to this. Some of it's like I don't necessarily know if should I feel comfortable doing that, right? Like should I what will people think of me? That kind of like self talk of that leads you to not do something. I think that once you realize you're reaching out, yeah, sure. Like some people might not accept your LinkedIn invitation or like respond to your messages. That's not a big deal.
So
Like a lot of
few.
people will, and a
Yeah.
lot of people want to connect reciprocally to you. That's something that I've
Yes.
realized over the past few years, much more, much better.
Spot on. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever not connected with somebody who's reached out to connect with me, as long as I know them, right? As long as I've met them.
Sure.
I have a set of rules that I keep about kind of who I connect with. If I don't know you, I check to see if are there good reasons for us to be connected. So I don't connect with everybody, but I also want to make sure everybody understands what we're not talking about. We're not talking about. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn from a social perspective, where I post portraits and pictures and talk about my team and give some thoughts about the industry. We're not talking about that. You don't need to be super social on LinkedIn. We're just talking about kind of table stakes on LinkedIn, which is connect to people.
Being a
And you
person.
just be a person. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta be out there. You got to make sure that people know about you. So I think that the way that I approach it is anybody who I'm connected with in an email. So I'm talking to a partner, I'm talking to a supplier, I'm talking to a candidate who might want to interview and be a part of our team. I'm talking to a prospect. I met somebody at a conference. All those people I go find immediately on LinkedIn and connect with them. So we're talking about, I have a pretty large network already, but I would assume that the number of people I connect with weekly is something like 20 people.
Yeah.
So you're just, the thing that you have that's your advantage right now is time. Time. Every day you do something, it compounds. So I think it's just a good life lesson. So make a point to spend at least 5 minutes, but 5 or 10 or 15 minutes on LinkedIn, being active, connecting with people, putting yourself out there, because it's going to be hugely important getting you from good to great.
Yeah. Something I was actually thinking about this over the weekend. It was aside from this conversation, Alan, but if a college kid ever comes up to you and they're like, "What can I do?" And it's like, just put yourself out there. People love to help college kids, right? Who
Oh
doesn't?
my gosh.
Who has a
Oh
cold
my
heart?
gosh.
But I
Yes.
actually think that that is a total cop out for when people think they can't do it now. Just to the training planting a tree analogy. Actually, I think if you're going to be like, if you're going to put forth some effort, if you're going to like do something for free, right? You have all like the Warren Buffett, working for his mentor for free or asking to, and
Right.
just people do that just throughout history. And you don't need to be someone younger. I think if you're also just someone interested to learn and to help at whatever age, folks are going to want to still help you, right? You just kind of have to position yourself appropriately, but then also just like start and just kick that off yourself. I just felt like that
Yeah.
was such a cop out because I do think that every time I talk to someone like coming out of school, I'm like, God, if only I was you, right? If only I was you and I had
I
like
had
at
that
your
time again.
age,
Yep.
the things I would do differently, right? But no,
Yep.
I could do it
Yep.
today too. Like how
Yep.
dare I not position that advice on myself?
Yeah, that's good. So, okay, so point number one, network, network, network. The number of people who I meet who don't have a network and they've just lost their job and they hit the street, man, they are in for a world of hurt. So I just we can't stress this enough. And I see those people on a weekly basis. So just get yourself out there, start networking, make sure you're building your people network. That's a huge piece of this.
Yeah. All right. Then number
Okay.
two, related to number one, right, Alan? But number two.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So number two is relationships, different from that network where you might know people well or not know people well. Now relationships we're talking about inside your company, inside the functional team that you're working with, the stakeholders that you interact with in your business, the suppliers that you interact with, the partners who work with you, the people who you can actually spend a fair amount of time with. Definitely capitalize on that time. You want to build strong relationships because at the start of the show, we talked about those are the people who are going to drag you into the next stop in your career. So, to expound on the Peter Thiel point, everybody has interview advice. I found Peter Thiel's interview advice to be particularly helpful. He said when he sees somebody's resume and they're sitting across the desk or sitting across the computer screen in a Teams meeting, like a lot of interviews today happen, what he asks them is he says, I want you to walk me through your resume. I want you to walk me through your career with particular attention at each step where you made a change and tell me how you made that change. What is it that led you to go from company A to company B? And what he pays attention to, what he really wants to hear is, I worked with Mark at company A. Mark left a year before I left. He went to company B. And then he called me up and he said, company B is a great thing. You need to be here and we need you here. And he drags you into company B. That's what Peter Thiel is listening for, because that means you've developed a rapport with somebody who knows your work, who knows that you're a good team member, and they want you. They want to pull you into their next company.
Yeah. That's actually how I'm sure I'm not the only one, but how I got everything except for when I made an industry change. It was always,
Yeah.
hey, Tom, had this
Mm-hmm.
thing. It was like a former director when I first started, moving to a new company. Then it was someone who worked for a prior company, like had a managerial spot, like, because those are tough to get, right? There's certain transitional points, but he pulled me
Yeah.
there, gave me that opportunity. And then someone I had worked for or worked with that referenced me somewhere else. That person then pulled me in. It was like actually even a bit of a crazier story, but the which I hadn't actually heard Peter Thiel's advice there. So that's pretty good. But yeah, I think it's to that point, Alan. It's also just being known for doing good work, right? Like within
Mm-hmm.
that's the outcome, or at least you kind of have that follow through. That's the correlation there. Is like, okay, if someone is going to be pulled along, then they've done good work, and that's like what a reference point.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just that they know you've done good work. They know you will do great work. And it's always going to be that person who's seen you excel in one role that's going to give you your first shot at the next step up on the career ladder. The next rung up on the career ladder is going to say, yeah, I know Tom has done some finance work. Has Tom ever been a CFO? I don't know. Could he be a CFO? Let's give Tom a shot because I think I know that he's
Sure.
easy to work with. I know that he's a smart guy. I know that he learns fast. He'll be able to make that transition. So it's also that those relationships that pull you into your next spot that are going to also give you the shot. Maybe it's something bigger and better.
Yeah. And I think a tie together between the network and relationships, Alan, is just staying connected with people. I've gotten better at this over the years. I've heard it a few different places. You also had told me this, just like those little, like random thoughts about somebody, like
Yep.
just send it, right? Why not just send it?
Just
You
send
see
it.
an article, you forward it. If
Yep.
you just recognize it's their birthday, say happy birthday. If you notice a post somewhere that something's going on with them, comment to it. Like those are nice
Yep.
type things to say, oh, this person still is around, still cares about me, still thinks about me, just like maybe they did 15 years ago when we worked together.
Yep.
It's shocking how easy it is to restart a conversation with folks you had good interactions with before. There's like transitionary, what's happened over the past 5 years or past 10 years. And it's like a 3 minute conversation. And it's like, cool, how you doing? Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how quickly it turns into that when you maintain those relationships.
Yeah. I think I'd be remiss too if we didn't go back and also touch the point of keep good notes. This is kind of not in the direct vein of networking and or relationship building, but it is like keep good notes. Like if I want to remember that Tom's got a dog named Pickle or something like that, you gotta take that note. Otherwise, you're not going to remember. But then when you reach out to Tom because you send Tom an article that you saw in the McKinsey Quarterly or something that you think is particularly apt for what Tom's doing today. Then when you do, if Tom says, "Hey, let's catch up," and you catch up, you're like, "Hey, whatever happened to that dog named Pickle?" And then he's going to say, "Wow, this guy really cares about me because he remembers. He remembers the little things."
Yeah, it's a dangerous spot where I keep them, Alan, because it's in my brain still, right? This has been like an ongoing thing for me. Alan's good at notes. I'm good at taking them, but not consistent about where they get taken. Um,
Yes.
which I've been working on. But it's like two
Well, it's
years
because
into
Alan.
this
Yeah,
work.
it's because Alan's 56 years old, and I've got kids I don't even know. I'm
But
like,
you've
well,
taken
oh,
notes for
that's my kid. Yeah. Okay. I'm
who
glad
are
I took a
you?
note on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize you're coming home today. But I still have to just lean into my brain. It was a catch up call with somebody I'd worked with before. It was like for something it was just interesting to us both, and I just like shot him a note on LinkedIn, and then we just like caught up for half an hour. It's like see how life was, and I was like, how's your daughter? She played, what was it, lacrosse? Like fingers crossed.
See.
It was a
Yeah.
fingers crossed moment, but it was lacrosse, and she was playing high school, and then she was now
That's
playing
cool.
college, which was super cool. But it was an important thing to him at the time that I recalled, and I mean, it it makes people feel good when they're listened to, and
Oh yeah.
makes
Yep.
everyone feel
Remembered.
good. So just to the
Mm-hmm.
remember, like a note is not a cheat code. A note is like just a way to remember because it's something you're
Mm-hmm.
writing down because you want to remember. So I think that's a really great tip, Alan.
Yeah, good stuff. So we've hit on networking kind of broadly, building deeper relationships within your company, within the people that you interact with. And the third thing that I think is super important in this transition, kind of this goal of getting from good to great, is as your career matures, you really want to be um, offered more strategic roles, but in order to take advantage of those more strategic roles, you've got to be more strategic. It's really easy. Even in my, everybody thinks, okay, the CEO, the founder of a business is going to be super strategic. Well, guess what I spend most of my day doing? It's like invoice exceptions, just like things that break, like the smallest of details inside of running a business. This state says you failed to make that tax payment. This payroll needs to be rerun. It's firefighting, and
Just think
it's
about
so
your
easy to.
mail. You're dealing with the mailbox.
Yeah,
Right?
that's exactly what it is. So it's
Yeah.
easy to be forced down back into the back into the tactical weeds. But this is as you get higher up in your career, as you take on increasing levels of responsibility, you need to make the time to be strategic. You've got to ignore some of the tactical noise, and you can do that in a bunch of different ways. Certainly, when I had a house full of kids and a bunch of home responsibilities, I didn't want to be working more hours and I didn't want to be working weekends. So what I would typically do is I would get up a little earlier in the morning and I'd spend my first 90 minutes being strategic because I knew once I got to the office, once the clock told 9 a.m., here comes the firefighting. I got to put on the firefighting suit and be tactical. But I could at least get that first 90 minutes of every day to be strategic, to understand what are the most important things I need to get done today, and maybe even get them done before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I bet. So, from a strategic standpoint, Alan, you're talking about more strategic for life too, right? In that 90
Mhm.
minutes, or are you talking about just for work?
Well, it's everything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got to take care of it all in the time that you can make. Nowadays, now that we're empty nesters, now that we've got a quiet house, I'm actually working Saturdays because I want to. It's funny. I was talking to a prospect who's who's I'm signing a contract with, who's going to be a client, and I said, "Yeah, I'll take a look at that SOW you sent over. I'll take a look at it on Saturday." And he said, "You work Saturdays?" And I said, "I do now." He's a 40-year-old guy. I said, "I do now," but I said, "This is a new thing in the last 2 years. I've never worked weekends, but I do it actually because I love it." And also, when I go in on Saturday, I tell my wife, I say, "It's awesome. The phone is not ringing. My
Mm.
calendar is empty. I actually can do the things that I want to do and that are the most important things, the things I need to do, and I can get those done on Saturday."
Yeah, I think for most people, just the like the act of planning a day or like writing things down, that just like gets it off of your brain, right? That so Tom doesn't need to remember, his buddy that his daughter played lacrosse and like hold
Yes.
that somewhere in the brain.
Yes.
That's just getting those things written down at times, like just like what am I looking to do today? What am I looking to do next week? You always hear those as the best practices, and they could be a total pain in the butt, right? Like you don't always get to it and then people get hard on themselves and things of that nature. But
No.
um, but it's just do it when you can. Like you'll remember over time that, and it's like a learned skill that your body will like the fact that you're doing it. Therefore, you'll do it over and over and over again. So I think it is important to set time on that, especially like Monday morning or like 15 minutes. Let me just commit to writing down the things I want to do. I got a big agenda. I
Yep.
showed that big book earlier this year, Alan. That's been like, it's
Yes.
been amazing.
How's
It's
that
been a
going?
game changer for me because
Oh,
I think
good.
I default just to want to dive into stuff, but it allows me to remember, hey, okay, this thing's due on Thursday. This thing's right. If there's a tax bill coming up, Alan, like, all right, that's written down. I
You
know
don't
that's
want to
going to
miss
be,
that. Yeah.
I don't want to
That's
have it done on April 15th. I want that done,
Mhm.
T minus 3 months. So, like have
Yes.
that written down in a little book, like get those things off the brain. And then that allows you to focus. And if you're looking for a job or if you're looking to get promoted, things of that nature, you can also start just what does that mean to you, right? Like how can I position myself differently? What went good during the week? What went bad? What kind of feedback did I have? Reflect on that. I think those type things are definitely undervalued. And writing it down, I'm a pen and paper guy, which is difficult to search, Alan. You're a put it on the computer
That's
guy.
fine.
But
It works
either
for
way,
you.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. And I use it for different things. If I'm trying to really get something out of my brain, it has to go on paper or it's not going to feel the same as if it's typed. But if it's the things I need to remember, I'm recognizing they need to be a little bit more searchable.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's life is all about constant improvement. The continuous improvement motto of just you're not competing with other people. You're competing with yourself yesterday. You want to be, the Allen of today just needs to be a little bit better than the Allen of yesterday. That's the game of golf. It's the game of life, right? It's just, you just want to be a little bit better the next day. So
Yeah.
whatever worked for you, you got to do it. I'm going to pick up on a couple of points you made there. I remember one of the seminal books that I read when I was in my kind of late 20s, early 30s was this Getting Things Done, GTD,
Mm-hmm.
the GTD method. And I remember the point it's an oldie but a goodie, and the point that was made is the more to dos that you carry around inside the skull, that rattle around inside your skull, that's cognitive load. Your brain is working to try to remember those things, but as soon as you actually write it down, then it ceases to be a cognitive load because it's on a list somewhere that you can refer to. So that was one of the main takeaways for me of reading Getting Things Done. David Allen, I think, was the author. Is get it out of your head and onto a page. Now you can free up brain space to think.
Yeah, was getting things done. Was that the another just analogy for it too? And this is more delegation. A delegation one was the monkeys. You ever hear this one, Alan? Like the monkeys on your back.
Tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
tell it.
the idea is you shouldn't do everything yourself either. To the point of strategic, right? If you're actually, it's kind of a surprising thing when you finally realize it because there's points within your life that you do have to just be the person that does everything, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
like Your role is to catch the stuff as it rolls downhill and to react, respond. But there is a point at which you shouldn't be doing everything. Even in those stages, there's different departments at your company. Like folks should do different things. So there's like this, I guess, just visual that the monkey's on the back. So just think of everything you're doing or that you say yes to specifically is an additional monkey that's put on your shoulder. And just think, the more yeses you say, all right, yeah, sure, I'll run that spreadsheet. Sure, like, yeah, just send me that contract. I'll take care of that. Like, send me those red lines. Yes, I have to reach out to that company. I'll do that.
Adds up.
And they have all these monkeys on your back. You can only hold so much, right? So the idea is to move some of those monkeys and make sure that those monkeys go in the right spots and move things around.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do things. It just means you got to be thoughtful. You've only got so much capacity, so that's exactly right. My getting things done routine is write it down, and then again, straight from the book. As you look at that task that you've written down, you look at it and you say, is this something I should do, or is this something I can delegate to somebody else? Delegating is a huge skill, and I'll talk about it in just a second, because when you said delegate, I've got a little process, a delegation process that's interesting. But you look at it and you say, is this something I should do, or is this something somebody else could do? If somebody else can do, then send it off to them because of the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule is if you can get the job done in 2 minutes, or if you can delegate it in 2 minutes, do it right now. Don't put it on a to-do list to do next week. Do it right now. 2 minutes is the rule, though. It's got to be able to be done in under 120 seconds. But then, then the strategic aspect is you got to take a look at that to-do list at some point in time. If it takes longer than 2 minutes, you're now stacking up things, and you've got to kind of block them out into your calendar and say, when am I going to have time to do this? So, we recently promoted a team member internally at Summit to be chief of staff. And she's absolutely fantastic because she's meant to take monkeys off of my back and monkeys off of other people's backs inside the business so that we can be more efficient and more effective. So I do love that monkeys analogy. To delegate is a real skill set, though. It's hard to do.
It is.
Mostly because you tend to think, well, I do these things really well. When I give it to somebody else, they're not going to do it as well. And that is actually a process problem. Most people want to do a good job when you delegate something to them. So this is a list that I pulled from somebody on how to delegate. The first thing is and I just did this yesterday when I delegated a piece of some spreadsheet work to a team member. First of all, define the output or the end result. Here's what I want good or great or done to look like. That's number one. Number two, what's the purpose of this? Why am I doing this? Because when the person you're delegating to knows why you're doing it, it's going to give them a better sense of what you're looking for. Number three, what are the inputs? Where are you allowed to go? So it's in this spreadsheet, or go do a Google search, or use AI to do this. Talk about the inputs to getting the job done. Talk also, number four, about the constraints. It needs to be done within this time frame. It needs to be with this scope. It needs to be with this budget. Those are the constraints. Number five, what are the next steps? If I were you, what would I do next? Help them along with the delegation. And then finally, number six, talk to them about degrees of freedom. What decisions do I expect you to make on your own versus when do I want you to come back to me and ask for some help? So that's kind of like the 6-step delegation process.
Yeah. And to take it from the other side, the person receiving that, and this just goes back to just this whole conversation around like the relationship side of things. If I'm looking to build a relationship with, say, Alan, who's delegating to me, from my side, there's this other, we're full of these sayings this episode, Alan, but if you want to be the boss, act like the boss, right? So Alan might say that one time. Alan could be your peer that's helping you out, passing along. Could be somebody like same level as you, a little higher. Could be your manager, could be your CFO, could be your CEO. But if you want to be like Alan, if you want to move up, like what would he do, right? So he already laid it out one time for you. Like write that down. Like if Alan's my boss and he's looking to have these things done on a repetitive basis, how can I just go beyond even what he's asking, right? Okay, if Alan, he's laid this out, he gave me some ideas, like, all right, what would Alan want to do next? That's where folks' minds should go, right? Okay, he's thinking of something. He needs something. I don't need to ask him. Let me just deliver something that's beyond his expectations.
That's right.
And he's going to do it anyway. So how can I get the way this works is Alan hands me something, like a request. I might have to hand it back, but then he's going to do something with it. if I can then get ahead of maybe writing the email he's going to need to write to deliver that, or give the little bit of spreadsheet, or do like the sum if, right? Any of those things, those like going beyond, that's where you end up leading yourself into that managerial director type space. And that's how you move up.
Indispensable.
So yeah, exactly. Because you're thinking beyond. Yep. And most of the management, people get a little upset. Oh, why did that person get promoted? Things of that nature. Usually they deliver beyond for the person they're working for, like one way or another. It could be a total, a-hole, things like that. How did this person get promoted? Usually they've delivered beyond in some way for the person.
Yep. They've become indispensable, or they've become a force multiplier. They anticipate your needs. So I think that's that's a great point. That's a great point, and that's a great spot to stop on. I hope folks listening have gotten something out of this, some thoughts about how to go from good to great, because that's your job. Nobody else is going to do that for you. You've got to make yourself indispensable. So on behalf of your humble hosts here at Rebuild Procurement Podcast, we are Tommy Finn, the guy who puts Finn in finance, and your OG in procurement, Alan Veek, hoping you will make this a powerful and productive week in procurement. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Show me, and you won't hear the word rebuild.